Hey beauties, so I kind of want to just jump right into it. I didn't want to make this video super long, but I picked up the Morphe Fluidity foundation. I actually ended up just only picking out the foundation. I decided to opt not getting the concealer just in case I felt a little bit funny about the overall foundation in and of itself. And so basically, just so that you have a little bit of information about it, this foundation retails for $18, 18 US dollars, and you get 1 fluid ounces, also 30 milliliters of fluid. I picked up the shade 54.10, and this is a matte foundation. It says it's a full coverage matte foundation. It ranges in 60 different shades, and Morphe's claim is that you're going to find your shade. There's not going to be this like one size fits all, or it's going to be leaning towards one shade range and not the other. Everyone should be able to find their shade. And I'll tell you, when I went into the store, I walked past it and then I was like, I'm not sure if I should pick one up or not. And honestly, I felt like I was a little bit biased because I had heard so many other people's thoughts and about it, and I felt like I didn't have great expectations for how this would come out. I wasn't sure what I was gonna get. I just knew that, I don't know, like I just wasn't sure how I felt about it, but I was like, you know what, I owe it to just try it out for myself and bring something new to you guys. And so that's why I picked one up. As far as finding my range, I was actually between level 3 and level 4. I thought that I would fit under a level 3 because it seemed to have more golden yellow undertones to me, but when I swatched it, it was a little bit too light. The last shade for me was a little bit too light for me. Again, as you all know, I typically tend to match my body than matching the actual face because my face is a lot darker than my body. This is a level 4. Level 4 is under their rich category, and it is typically described as a warm foundation with golden undertones. So I'll actually put the information somewhere up in this video so that you are aware, and I am going to take you through my opinion about it, and I'm going to actually do a demo using the foundation as well so that you guys get to see what it actually looks like and what it looks like on me. And so without further ado, keep watching. So, as you already know, we are going to be playing with the Morphe Fluidity foundation. So this is said to be 24-hour long wear, sweat proof, transfer resistant, water resistant, free of oils, fragrances, as well as parabens, and it's great for all skin types. So this looks super warm online, if you can see, compared to what it looks like in person. I probably would not have picked this shade only because I feel like it's too warm. But when you look at the swatches on the hands, I feel like it's pretty accurate. As far as the undertone. But just looking at the packaging online does not, to me, say that. But we're going to go ahead and give this a shot. If you're new here, you won't know this, but if you're part of the InnerBeautyOut family, then you'll know that I typically match my body instead of matching the color of my actual face, because my face is slightly deeper than my body. But I think I'm going to do one face with a beauty blender just so that you can see how it applies, and then the other side with a brush, and I'll indicate which side is which in the video. I do have a friend that came to play today. I don't know what's going on with the bottom part of my face, but I'm kind of having a little bit of a situation, but it's not going to stop me from doing what we've got to do. As you can see, this is pretty light for my skin. But again, when I swatch it down below, although it has like a bit of a warmer undertone, it really matches pretty well with my skin on my chest. So that's why I went with that shade. So we're going to do this with the Beauty Blender. I did hear my fair share of the foundation, but I have not tried it. This is the first time I'm trying it with a Beauty Blender. I have tried it with a brush before. Wow. Alright. I'm going to pick up a little bit more just so that I can get the top of my forehead there. Okay. I'm just adding a little bit more. But essentially, I look like the coverage is very real, as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you that really quickly, just so that you can see up close what this looks like. And blend that out. And then I'm going to go ahead and move over to the other side and use a brush. For the brush, I am using Juvia's Place Round Top Foundation Brush. It's pretty dense. And I like to wet my brushes before I apply foundation. Vitamin Infused Complexion Prep Spray, and it's called B6. So I'm just going to spray that like that. Don't know if it's going to change how this applies, but there we go. Okay, so with the same amount of coverage, I feel like I was able to cover just about the same amount of places that I did when I went in with a sponge. I'm going to just apply a little more to get the forehead part of my face. Okay, I'm noticing that when I apply the foundation to my skin and then go in with the brush, it diffuses it, but when I pick up the foundation with the brush and then apply it to the skin, it gives me fuller coverage. I do have, I don't know what that was. Like down here is like not even, so I'm going to go ahead and go some more. Alright, so as far as which side I prefer, let me get a close up. Your girl can't see. Let's see if I apply, because I do see spots where the coverage isn't even. This is a really matte foundation. Alright, so as of right now, I have not finished my complete foundation, but I did decide that I feel like I like the Beauty Blender application a lot better than the brush application. Although it doesn't matter, it's not really a big difference. I do feel like this does enhance his little hairs, so if you have a mustache, you're definitely going to see it more. The color part of it so far looks really good as far as color match. It is very full coverage. As you can see, a little goes a long way, and it dries down pretty fast so far. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on with my makeup application, and I'll be back with my thoughts. As far as the packaging, it is a plastic tube, plastic squeezy tube. So if you're familiar with the Infallible foundation, this kind of reminds me of that as far as the packaging goes, as well as if you're thinking of like the Makeup Forever new velvet, matte velvet foundation. Basically the packaging as far as the graphics on it is matte. So overall, I think it's true to what it's actually claiming, which is a matte foundation. This is Morphe's first ever foundation, so they just had to go all out or go home. As far as the squeezy part, it is a squeezy tube, which I can appreciate because I feel like you get every ounce of product that you purchase, so you don't have to worry about dipping in, or you don't have to worry about, you know, squeezing stuff out. I do appreciate that this is a squeezy nozzle, and it doesn't seem like it'll get messy, although, you know, inside seems a little bit, you know, whatnot, but I feel like if you clean it, you're fine. As far as the product in and of itself, I will squeeze some out on the back of my hand so that you can see. This is what I'm going to swatch one too, just so that you have that as a point of reference against my complexion. The foundation is not a runny foundation. The foundation is actually to me more of a thicker consistency. It is not a cream to me, but it's not super liquidy. It has I like the thickness of this foundation as far as that goes. The coverage is absolutely insane. That was just like a little swatch of the foundation, as you can see on the back of my hand. And even with that, you can see how opaque it is. Covers a little goes a long way is basically what I'm trying to say. I feel like it does oxidize slightly, but not necessarily. I feel like what you get is true to color. Once you get it out in the open, it's typically what it is. I don't find that my face is oxidized. The warmth around my skin is what I've actually done as far as bronzing up and contouring. So, but I don't think it really oxidized per se. I don't know if you can really see a difference between what was squeezed out versus what has been aired out as a swatch. I feel like they pretty much still look the same. So I'm not mad at that. Alright, so on to the pros. I do love the packaging as far as the squeeze tube, as I mentioned before. I do like that the undertone is actually a pretty good match. I found that getting my ideal match is really hard. I find that I always have to mix foundations together to get my shade. So Morphe did a great job, I feel like, as far as the range and color. The price point of $18, I'm not mad at it. Like, I feel like it's realistic as far as a drugstore brand, and you get a lot of product. You get a whole fluid ounce. I feel like a little bit goes a long way. It's a very full opaque coverage, so I feel like I'm okay with it being $18 for a fluid ounce of foundation. My coverage, now these are where I'm a little bit I was pleasantly surprised though. I'll tell you this, I was pleasantly surprised as far as like when I put it on. I wasn't expecting the coverage to be what it was. Like it was effortless. Like a little bit really went a long way, and you'll see that in my demo. However, I did find that there were a little bit of inconsistencies around my bottom part of my mouth. Knowing that I knew that this matte foundation was going to be a very matte foundation, I tried my best to really go in as far as moisture on the skin, and I just applied my highlights as if I had a luminosity type skin, but this is matte. Like, this will soak up everything. I do like the fact that you don't feel like you have foundation on. Like when I touch my skin, there's no sticky texture. I don't feel like it's like it was tacky. Like it dries down by itself. You probably don't even need to set it as far as doing like your under eye setting powder, but I did it anyway because I do like the brightening effect of my powder. But this foundation pretty much sets itself. Again, so my problem issues with the foundation really is around the mouth area, which I was forewarned about, and I feel like it has cracks depending on, I guess, how much you put on there. So it does settle into fine lines around the mouth area, which I found that like in my other foundations, I don't really have that issue. I am a combination oily skin person, so I'm typically oily in my T-zone. I realized that over time after taking care of my skin that I became more of a combination skin person. So I have my dry areas that are around my mouth, but it doesn't really give me any issues with other products. The only other one I feel like does the same thing is Fenty, the Fenty foundation, and I'm trying to think what other foundation did that. Like super matte foundations just they don't really work for me. As much as I love a good matte foundation, I love a demi matte foundation even more. I like to mattify the areas that I want and leave the luminosity in the other areas that I want. So again, if you look, I'm going to see if I can bring you in closer so that you can see. Girl, don't judge me. I have a little bit of breakout session right here situation, so don't judge me, but we're going to bring you in a little bit closer. Okay. So as you can see on the camera, I hope this is like picking it up okay, but around my mouth area right here, I do realize that it's settling into lines. I do notice also that it's settled, it kind of brings out my pores and grooves in my skin that I didn't think I really had that much. So like acne scarring and stuff like that, I feel like it's literally like showcasing that. And if you can see on this side, same thing. The little hairs on my face, I feel like I can see them as well. I realized that I could also see like if you got a mustache girlfriend and you didn't shave, you might want to do that first because it'll show and emphasize that as well. Overall, I still feel like the foundation is still a nice foundation. It's not bad, but I do feel like if you're going to wear this foundation, you need to super de-duper moisturize your skin, okay? If you don't want to see lines, you have to add a little bit more of that in those areas. So for me, I feel like the next time I wear this foundation, I will try it one more time in the sense of adding more moisture around my mouth to see if it'll still settle. Because again, I don't have it with other foundations. I don't think this is like an end all be all for this foundation. Another thing I realized around my mouth area is that I felt like there is like a bit of this like grayish or undertoned cast near like the undertone of the foundation around my mouth. As I was applying the foundation, I felt like the foundation coverage was turning out a little bit patchy. Like there were even coverages in certain places, and then there was this like this grayish undertone, or I don't know what it was, that was just around the mouth. And I didn't have this issue the first time I tried this foundation. I wore this foundation yesterday. I wore it for about a little over 5 hours, and I did get a little bit oily, but I wasn't super oily, if that makes sense. It was just like your glow that you get when you just have makeup on for a while. I feel like typically around that 5 to 8 hour mark, your oils will try to push through. But overall, I'm not really disappointed in this foundation. I'm not really disappointed in how my face looks. Like, I still feel like, girl, like you beat, like BB. Like, not just little beat, like BBB. So, alright, y'all need to back up because it's too close. Essentially, I really enjoyed working with the foundation. I think it was very surprising to see how everything came out. I am going to give it a second try to see how it's going to work out. I do plan on going out later this evening. I did typically what I would normally do as far as skin prep, which is using an eye cream, using a mattifying moisturizer. I know that sounds weird. If you want to know more about that, let me know. I did what I normally do, and my whole makeup procedure or routine was pretty much the same. And so it really was just a test of like whether this foundation was going to stand up to that process. And so I hope this was helpful for you. And if you have tried it before, let me know if it worked out for you. If you are in my shade range and you're still curious to try this foundation out, I would say pick up the F410. I really felt like this was a great match for me, as you can see. But this is like all the way, get you all the way together, like, okay. So again, do not forget to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button so that you're in the know the next time I bring out a new video. Drop a comment below. I will meet you there. I'm really good at commenting back. I really enjoy hearing from you guys, and I will see you in my next one. I forgot to tell you, almost forgot to tell you, if you're interested in seeing what this how I put this makeup tutorial or the eye look together, I do have a video on that as well, so definitely look out for that. It's coming soon. As far as the packaging, it is a plastic, whoa.